She's been homeless for 6 months now, and the repairs really
Today, you'll witness how a woman is fighting not just to protect her belongings, but her life. She's homeless. She has no money, yet she's standing up for justice. What would you do if it were you?
Court does call the case of Sycamore versus P.
Miss P was present. I'm from Legal Services, P number 69260. I do want to let the court know Miss P was assaulted this morning
Oh,
by
I'm sorry.
a near stranger, and is
That's
definitely want to be here.
understood.
She's not feeling the best.
All right. Okay. This is your request.
Your Honor, first of all, I would never want court to do that. I essentially misled the court, so I did lose track of the order that Ms. Newman highlighted in her answer. However, I do think that the order is subject to interpretation. And it does say that my client would remove any and all belongings, and I think the definition of belongings tends to be smaller personal items that can be easily moved. At this point, the other thing is, we had a discussion on the record of Ms. P back in January of our request that Ms. P be able to move her items to a part of the house where they wouldn't interfere with the repairs. And it was represented at that time that there was structural damage to the unit. However, I reviewed the fire report. It doesn't say anything about structural damage, and now that a lot of the drywall debris has been cleared from the ceiling, I really don't, I mean, I'm not an expert, but I don't see that there was structural damage to the unit. So where we are at this point is.
I think the import of that, I don't mean to interrupt you, was that in essence, there was going to have to be a gutting of this place. And so the issue of whether or not there's actual damage may have to be assessed at some other point, because my understanding was the unit needed to be gutted, which is why things could not remain there.
I just don't think that that's accurate at this point, that it actually had to be completely gutted. But I just wanted to, where we are at this point, Ms. P went in, she removed what she could into 2 vehicles that were in the parking lot. And then those vehicles were recently towed and she wasn't able to get any of those belongings. So now she's down to.
What do you mean?
She had 2 vehicles that were parked outside of her unit at Sycamore, and they towed them. And those vehicles had all of the belongings that she was able to salvage. So she's down to a few items that remain in her unit that she doesn't have the finances or ability to move, and she would like them to remain in the basement. And it's a washer and a dryer, an air conditioner, and 2 barbecue grills. She's asking to store there while the repairs are made.
So my problem here is this. As we were working through this case, and why the order reads the way that it is, was to give Ms. P time to get her things out of the unit. And I'll be honest with you, and I don't think you're trying to mislead the court or anything. I mean, there's a lot of orders that fly around here, so I'm not thinking that at all. But she's got to get the things out. I mean, that's kind of where we were trying to figure out how that would come about. And I mean, the date and the timing of everything, if you recall, I think we went through that 2 or 3 times to try to get that done. One time where there was sort of a ruling from the bench, but there wasn't an order, and then that didn't happen. And then we had to come back and try to deal with it again. And now I'm here again. Yes.
And I would like the court to know, every time I've been asked from opposing counsel for her, whether it was, if we go back to the date that you ordered, which was, I believe, February 6th, Miss P didn't show up until 4 o'clock to remove the items, and office closed at 4:30. I received an email, 2 weeks later from opposing counsel. We gave her that entire day to do it. She took what she wanted. I just want to address the cars. The cars were inoperable. HUD actually sent my client, and it's in my brief, it's in my motion, the copy of the email. HUD made Sycamore tag them, they were inoperable. The day they were tagged on Friday, they were not moved until Tuesday. Council knew about it. As soon as they were removed, I got, for council, a copy of where the towing company and where they were at, so she could go get her stuff. I feel like we bent over backwards to give her time, then I got a message about the washer and dryer, that she didn't want to lose that. I got my client to agree to give her 7 days to do it. Then last Friday, the time frame came and went, and she never came and got it. This is not Sycamore has bent over backwards to give Miss P the opportunity to get her things. And here we are again, and we're asking for it again. And last week when council reached out to me, I said, get it done by Monday. Because I told my client, hold off. You can see it in the emails from my client. We're holding off. And here we are, we're asking for more time. It's been 4 months, 5 months.
Your Honor, the reality is that Ms. P is in this situation because she's living in poverty. She doesn't have the resources to move or store these items. She tried to get a storage unit. They wouldn't rent her because she doesn't have a debit card. I mean, she has done nothing wrong. And she's basically too poor to take advantage of the opportunity to move and store these items. And I just don't know why they can't remain in the basement while the unit is being repaired. There's no damage to the floor on the first floor. If you look, there's minimal damage to the structure of the ceiling on between the first and second floor. I brought pictures that shows no burning into the wooden structures between the 2 floors. So I don't know why they would be in the way if they remain in the basement while they repair.
The email from HUD is very clear. The cars needed to be removed. The property needs to be trashed out. My client is doing what they're being told to do at this point.
And if we just look at it just on a whole other angle, but I mean, I'm not even there necessarily, but Ms. Bauer, if the property were to remain there and something happened to the property, whose responsibility would it be?
I haven't discussed if my client is willing to waive unintentional, or as long as it's not intentional damage.
Well, but see, that's where that's where the problem comes in. I mean, if somebody, and I'm not even saying that it really by order is reflective of this, but even if the property was there and then we get into and somehow gets damaged, which can happen when people are doing construction. I mean, it can just happen. But then you get into all this litigation and hearings about, was it intentional? Was it this? Was it this? They didn't put it in a safe spot. So really, Sycamore or their contractors, I mean, you get into a whole bunch of other issues, which all can be avoided if the property is not there. We don't have that issue. I'm sure that's one of the reasons HUD is saying you got to get everything out. We're not, looking for Sycamore or HUD or anybody else to, or any contractor we hire to be placed in a situation of trying to be the guarantor of the safety of somebody's property.
Well, Your Honor, she's been homeless for 6 months now, and the repairs really haven't begun. There's been some clean out. I mean, even if they would let her move them into an unoccupied second unit or something. She just does not have the resources to store them.
I know, but you're asking the landlord to assume basically to bail this property, which with that comes certain responsibilities for the landlord. I, I, I don't know under what possible theory I would ask the landlord to do something. To care for somebody's property. I mean, it's not their business. It's not what they do. You know, and again, just hypothetically, let's say the landlord did put them in some other place on their property, and somebody comes in and like creates some vandalism at that place, destroys the property or damages the property. Who's the one responsible? And that's the problem. To answer your first question, in looking at my order, the intent of that order is that she remove from the premises everything that she wants to keep. That at the point at which if she leaves something, then the landlord's in a position to say it's abandoned, the landlord could get rid of it and do what they need to do in terms of repair that unit.
Pretty devastated and was hoping to be able to hold on to those last few things. So that's why.
Right. No, I understand. I understand why you're doing it. I get all of that. You know, problem is, you know, with the cars, the cars are inoperable. You can't just put them there because ultimately they're going to be taken off the premises. That would happen anyway. So, you know, I don't think.
No, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I wasn't assessing any particular, I wasn't like making a judgment about that. I was just letting the court know that it's been like a domino effect. Like, okay, I want to keep these belongings. These are, you know, my personal belongings, and I can't get a storage unit, so I'm going to put them in these vehicles. And then they were in the vehicles for a while, and it seemed like that was going to be a solution. And then all of a sudden, she finds out, like they may have been tagged before, but she didn't find out immediately that they were tagged. And then suddenly the vehicle, she goes to look for the vehicles and they've been towed. And then she wasn't able to get the belongings out of them. So it's just been a domino effect where she's done nothing wrong. She's just a series of unfortunate events. And now she's lost almost 100% of everything material in her life. So it's just the thought of maybe being able to hold on to those last few items was. Ms. P just wanted the court to know that when she first put her belongings in the vehicles, they were operable, but because she was homeless and they were sitting there, I think one of them, the battery died, and one of them, a tire went flat.
And they become inoperable, which is why then after those, if those are the only two things, they tag them with the thought that whoever has the flat tire or the battery or the vehicle won't move or the like will then come and do what they need to do, either to move the vehicle or to put it back in operate. I mean, so I get that.
I think she just wanted you to know that she didn't intentionally leave.
No, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying at some point, this part of it has to end. You know, and Miss Bauer, you know, a lot of folks come before the court with a lot of problems and a lot of issues, and a lot of sort of obstacles to overcome. And I think in trying to get through this, And I have to give Sycamore credit because, you know, they could have just taken a really hard line. They didn't, trying to get this going. I've been patient with what might be scheduling or trying to have her get the stuff out. But, you know, at some point, sadly, we just have to be done.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So I'm going to deny your request for an additional time. What is, having said that, then what is Sycamore's intention in terms of they're not intending at this point to let her back in to get her things set?
I mean, I can make it happen. And that was, I've offered multiple times. So if she wants to go get the washer and the dryer and the air conditioner or the grills, she wants to do it by today, I think she can go. I have no problem with that. I've never had a problem with that. I just need her to actually do it.
She said she would like a chance to get the grills, but she doesn't have any place to put the washer herself. So can you go today by 4 o'clock today to get those grills? They'll happen. I'm assuming if you're offering for you to get that.
If that they're there, I don't know what's there, what's not there. Like I'm just, you're telling me that that's what's there and that she can go.
Well, she saw Sycamore personnel roll the grills to the office.
I asked
And-
them more and I'm putting on our, they told me they did not do that. But if she wants to go today by 4 o'clock to go to get this one. Let's put it on the record. I need to know what time she's going so I can tell them. So let's give me a window.
Okay, so she just wants the court to know she videotaped them moving the grill and she has talked to someone that said that they're at the office. So
You want to know what? I'm done. I'm not going to litigate anymore. I mean, you know, at some point, the problem is everybody is, as we've said, bending over backwards to try to do this. I issued just now denying your motion, which means really we're done. I was looking maybe, and I think Ms. Zane was trying to do the same thing, a bit of compassion to say, okay, if you can get these now, do it, but you got to give us a time. But I'm not going to go through litigating. They took my property. They did this. I'm done. Whatever else anybody else wants to do, you can do it, but you're not doing it with the court sanction. She can, that property at this point, since she has not removed it, is considered abandoned. And that Sycamore may do what they need to do with reference to taking that property out. If you guys work something out without my involvement, do what you got to do. But I'm done.
I do appreciate the court hearing this.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Sometimes the washing machine,
I just want to
air
address the
conditioner,
cars. The
and,
cars
few
were
belongings
inoperable.
are
How to
all a
actually
person
send my findings,
has in
and
this
it's in
world.
my brief.
This story isn't
It's
just
in
about Miss
my motion,
Peace.
the copy of
It's about the
email.
voices of
Audit,
thousands who go
Maine,
unseen in our
Sycamore,
society
tagged, and they
today.
were inoperable.
Justice isn't
The date
measured
they were
only
tagged
by
on
law,
Friday, they were not
but
moved
also
until
by
Monday.
compassion.
Monday,
What do you think?
Tuesday.
Share your thoughts in the comments.
Council